Peace to your heart tonight. Welcome to Gentle Night, a soft and quiet place where books are not just read, they're felt, where wisdom is whispered, not shouted, where we don't chase answers, we invite them, and where you and I meet in the middle of a story. I'm Nazy, and I created this channel because I believe stories can heal, because some nights you don't need a lecture, you need a lullaby, not from someone who knows it all, but from someone who's walking the same road. And tonight, I want to share a book that's very close to my heart. The book is The Alchemist by Paulo Coelho. Now, you may have heard of it before. Maybe you have even read it. But let me tell you something honestly. This book is not just something you read once and move on from. It's a book that finds you again and again in different seasons of your life. I first found The Alchemist years ago when I was lost, when I had no idea where my life was going or whether my dreams were even worth following anymore. I remember sitting by the window, reading it slowly, like it was talking directly to me. And it was reminding me that life is still magical, that dreams still matter, that the journey is the treasure. This story helped me trust myself again. And now I want to pass it on to you, not just as a book review, not as a list of bullet points, but as a story told from the heart, my heart to yours. So if you're feeling stuck, tired, or like you're waiting for a sign, maybe this is it. Let me take your hand, and together let's follow the path of the alchemist. Part 1: The Shepherd and the Dream. Our story begins in the fields of Andalusia, Spain. There's a young shepherd boy named Santiago. He lives simply, traveling with his sheep from town to town, sleeping under the stars and reading books as he wanders. But he has a secret, a dream, a recurring dream about a treasure buried near the Egyptian pyramids, and he can't stop thinking about it. Now, Santiago could have ignored it, could have told himself it's just a silly dream, but something inside him, the quiet voice of the heart, says, "Go." So he begins to listen, and when he meets a mysterious old king named Melchizedek, everything changes. This king tells him about something called a personal legend, your soul's true purpose. He says, when you want something with all your heart, the whole universe conspires to help you achieve it. These words become a seed in Santiago's heart. He decides to leave everything behind, his sheep, his safety, even the girl he hoped to marry, and follow this dream across the sea to Africa. And that's where the real journey begins. Part 2: When Things Fall Apart. Santiago arrives in Tangier, full of hope, but almost immediately he is robbed, left with nothing. And here he almost gives up. Because isn't that how life is? The moment we take a step toward our dream, something knocks us down. Something whispers, "See, you were foolish to believe." But Santiago doesn't quit. He finds work cleaning crystal in a dusty little shop, and slowly, he learns. He learns about patience. He learns that every step, even the detours, matter. He learns that the treasure isn't just out there, it's being built inside of him, quietly, every day. And even though he's tempted to return to the comfort of his old life, he doesn't, because now the dream is part of him. Part 3: The Desert and the Englishman. With some money saved, Santiago joins a caravan crossing the vast Sahara Desert toward Egypt. There he meets an Englishman who introduces him to the idea of alchemy, the ancient art of turning lead into gold. But more importantly, Santiago learns that alchemy is not just about metals, it's about transformation, inner transformation. It's about becoming your truest, highest self, stripping away fear, doubt, and old stories until only gold remains. This part of the book reminded me so much of life. We are all walking through some kind of desert, long dry stretches where we feel lost, uncertain, maybe even foolish for believing. But those are the places where the real change happens. That's where the inner work begins. And just like Santiago, we begin to see the treasure isn't something we find, it's something we become. Pause for you, my listener. Let's pause here for a moment just to breathe. You've been listening deeply, following this boy's journey as if it's your own. And maybe it is. Maybe there's something inside you, something long buried, that still wants to believe, still wants to go, still wants to shine. Stay with me, because the best part of Santiago's journey is still ahead. Part 4: Fatima and the Language of Love. As the caravan moves through the desert, Santiago reaches a beautiful oasis. And there he meets Fatima. Fatima. She isn't loud, she isn't dramatic, she simply is. A girl who lives in the desert, rooted like a date tree, graceful and calm. And when Santiago sees her, he knows, not with fear, not with confusion, but with a kind of quiet certainty that lives deeper than words. He falls in love, but soon he faces a question that so many of us do. Should I stop the journey here? Should I stay with her and forget my dream? And Fatima, wise and clear, says to him, "Go, follow your personal legend. I will wait." Can you imagine that? Real love doesn't cling. It doesn't say, "Choose me or the dream. It says, I believe in your dream because it's part of who you are. This part of the story made me pause because I realized we often ask others to shrink so they'll stay close, but true love asks us to grow, even if that means growing apart for a while. Fatima is one of the book's deepest teachers. She teaches Santiago and us that love is not a destination, it's part of the journey. Part 5. The Alchemist and the Art of Inner Transformation. At the oasis, Santiago meets the one he's been unknowingly walking toward the whole time, the alchemist, a man who can turn metal into gold, but more importantly, a man who can see through people. The alchemist doesn't flatter Santiago. He challenges him. He tells him, to realize your personal legend is a person's only real obligation. He reminds him that most people give up. They get comfortable, distracted, afraid, but the heart never forgets. And when we ignore it, it begins to whisper, then ache, then suffer. The alchemist becomes a guide, not in a loud, mentor kind of way, but like a mirror. He shows Santiago what he already carries inside, that he can face danger, that he can trust life, that he can speak the language of the world, the silent language beneath words, beneath fear, beneath logic, a language made of love, of signs, of listening. And just when Santiago is close to the pyramids, he faces his biggest test. He's captured by warriors, beaten, threatened, and in order to survive, he must perform a miracle. He must turn himself into the wind. Part 6. Santiago becomes the wind. This part of the book feels like poetry. Santiago stands before the desert men who plan to kill him and says, in 3 days, I will become the wind. They laugh, but Santiago walks out into the desert and begins to speak, not with words, but with silence. He speaks to the desert, to the wind, to the sun. He prays, he listens, he becomes still, and little by little, something happens. He merges with nature, with the world, with his own soul. And when the time comes, the wind blows, not a little breeze, but a storm, a swirling, roaring force. And in that moment, everyone sees this boy is not just a shepherd. He is something more. He is someone who listened to his heart and became what the world told him was impossible. This part is deeply metaphorical because becoming the wind means letting go, surrendering control, trusting something greater than fear. It's not about power, it's about union. Part 7. The Treasure and the Return. Finally, Santiago reaches the pyramids. He falls to his knees and weeps with joy. He begins digging, but suddenly bandits appear. They beat him, laugh at him, tell him he's a fool for chasing a dream. And one of them, mocking him, says, "Funny, I had a dream once about a treasure buried under a tree in Spain." And in that moment, Santiago understands the treasure was always there, right where his journey began, under the tree where he once slept with his sheep. But he needed to walk all the way to Egypt to become the kind of person who could see it. And that's the heart of the story. I've read The Alchemist many times, but each time it feels new because I read it from a different place in my own heart. Sometimes I am Santiago, dreaming. Sometimes I am the crystal merchant, too afraid to follow my heart. Sometimes I am Fatima, watching someone I love chase something far away. But always, always, this book brings me back to one truth. You already know your treasure. You already hear your heart. You just have to trust it again. So if you've forgotten, if the world has been too loud, if your dreams feel too distant, too childish, too late, I want to remind you, it's not too late. You are not too late. Close your eyes. Put your hand on your heart and ask it, where do you want me to go next? Then listen, the signs will appear because the universe still conspires. It always has. It always will. Thank you, dear soul, for letting me walk this journey with you tonight. If this story touched something inside you, if it reminded you of your own personal legend, if it gave you even a moment of peace, please consider supporting this channel, Gentle Night Sleeps. A like, a comment, a quiet little subscribe. It's more than a click, it's a seed, a way of telling the universe that soft, soulful stories matter. And if you know someone who's forgotten their dream, send them this whisper. Let's help each other remember. Until next time, this is Nazy, wishing you sweet sleep, soft winds, and the treasure that already lives inside you.